Good morning, good morning. Okay, I decided I liked last week's outside so much that I'm doing it again. Also, although the heat wave has broken, it's still pretty darn warm today, and the inside of my house is not cooled off. It still feels like a sauna in there, so I'm going to be outside as much as possible today, anywhere except in there. So, hi, happy Wednesday. Thanks for tuning in. How's your week been going? Okay, so I guess I will just start chatting as I usually do. But this week, okay, so I know that people want an update on my love life and breakup story and such. So I will give a little bit about that because I know people have been asking and checking in on how I'm doing. So thank you for that. It's very much appreciated. And there's still a part of me that feels a bit weird when I say like breakup because like we weren't even together enough for like we weren't in a relationship as defined by anything. So saying a breakup feels a bit weird. Like you need to have had a thing that you can then break up from. But and actually this is going to lead well into one of the questions I'm going to talk about later. But I don't buy that stuff. So I don't buy the fact that it has to be defined as this certain thing and that I can't use the word breakup because it wasn't that certain thing. It feels like a breakup, so that's what I'm calling it. You give me better words and I'm happy to hear them, but at the moment that's what it feels like. So for people have been asking how I've been doing and how I've been coping with it, and the answer is, pretty good. Like I am not, I'm okay, but it comes and goes. And there's this sense this week, and it's not just to do with this man, there's also some other things going on, that just this sense of like sadness, and it's not devastation. It's not the kind that like cracks you wide open and you can't stop crying. There's different kinds, aren't there? It's not that kind. It's just this calmer, quieter, just sense of sadness. And interspersed with like big faith and trust that this is all going to be okay and this is all working out exactly how it's meant to. It's working out for my highest good. It's all going to, my desires are coming to me in the time and way that they are meant to. I hope it's not too loud. They're doing some work across the street at my house, so hopefully you can still hear me. But so that is a really big comforting factor to me, that I have this deep trust that it is all working out for me. But that higher self and knowing is mixed in with my human side, which is like, I am just sad. Like, I didn't quite realize how ready for this I was until it was there in front of me. And then I was like, oh, I really am ready for this. Having, the thought of having somebody else in my life in a, close, intimate way was really appealing. It was like, oh, yeah, I'm ready for that. And, the physical connection too. Not going to ignore that part. It's been a while. That felt really nice. And then to have that be taken away almost is like, oh, like I keep using the analogy of like somebody put the best cake in the world in front of me. I got to try this cake, and then they're like, nope, no more cake for you. But that said, so that's how it feels like, I hadn't had that, and like you forget that, like, you're like, oh, if I haven't had cake in forever, it's like, I don't know, cake's fine, right? Of course I think I like cake, but like, whatever, no big deal. Then you have it and you're like, oh my God, I need more of that cake. I need the whole cake. And then it's been taken away. But then what it's also showed me is that, like, hang on, that's not the only cake in the whole world, is it? Like, there's definitely if a cake like that can be made and taste that good, there's other cake out there. That literally cannot be the only cake that I will ever have in my whole life. Like, that's ridiculous. My brain can easily get to, like, of course there's going to be other really fucking good cake. Like, come on, Lindsay. So it goes back and forth between kind of all of those things. And yes, I have thought about him every day. I think about him in the like small moments, like, if my brain's not actively active on something else, I will be thinking about him. I find that rather annoying, to be totally honest. I can't wait until this part passes and he's not just like there in my brain all the time. I find myself sometimes checking WhatsApp to see if he's online, just because then and if he is, it's just like, ooh, we're both online at the same time, like connection thing. Wondering, does he ever open our WhatsApp messages to see if he's looking for my online? Are we ever like staring at the same online at the same time? Like wondering that. So, my brain is doing all of these very normal, very human things. And I'm just giving myself space for that, like that's okay. And that's all right. And I'm not wrong for any of that. But it also is a little bit annoying, and I'm looking forward to when that passes and I can just like live my life without being like, what's he doing now? So that's kind of what that is. The other thing that ties in, like I said, there's another sense of sadness in my life right now, which is my co-parenting relationship isn't where I want it to be at this exact moment. And it comes and goes too. We have many ups and downs with this. Because again, humans, this is part of life. And so I've been feeling this, again, it's not the like heart broken open into a million pieces, sobbing uncontrollably. It's not that kind of sadness, but it's this sadness of like, this isn't how I want it to look. This isn't how I want this to feel. And at first it was like more anger and frustration and like, just this, I don't want to I'm annoyed I have to put up with this and that and like, but that got quickly replaced by this. That's not the main feeling. The main feeling is this like, this isn't what I dreamed up for us. But it's the same kind of thing as in my love life but I do have this trust in that it's all going to work out. I can look at how far we've come and what I, if I look back in time, what I desired then has come true for us. And I can use that same faith to look forward and go, you know what? I do trust that. I don't get to control the timing. I don't get to control how it happens. But I trust that this is all working out just the way it's supposed to. And a piece that I've been thinking about quite a lot here and talking to my coach about is that when it comes to stuff like this, like both, again, in my dating and my love life and in my co-parenting relationship, so this will come up in, this is always the thing, everything is everything. This will come up in a work life or a friend situation or whatever. Like these same concepts apply all over the darn place. It's rather annoying sometimes, but that's how it works. So in both of these, my love life and my co-parenting relationship, I'm not, okay, slightly different, but there's a difference between trusting the other human that you are working with or that you are, in some sort of relationship with, and trusting the wider universe on things. So, and trusting yourself. So in both of these, I trust myself. I trust what I am doing, how I show up, how I want to be, and I have deep trust in that. With my co-parenting relationship in particular, I don't always have the same trust in my co-parent as a human, but I trust in the wider good of what we are trying to do. I trust in his best self, and that we have the same ultimate, and we want the same thing. We want peace, we want harmony for our kids, we want the best things for our kids, we want, we can do this. And although our human selves get in the way sometimes, because that's what human selves do, ultimately, our soul selves can be on the same level. And I trust that the universe is working to deliver this greater vision for us. This, my desires. I'm co-creating this with the universe, and trusting that actually this is all going to work out. I don't know how or when, but I can hold that vision of what I want our relationship, our energy to be. And if I can keep holding that, then I can trust that it's all falling into place. And that, again, that ties back to the dating, where I don't know what this man's going to decide. I don't know what's going to be best for him, but I trust me and how I'm showing up, and I trust that the universe is working on my side. And it might not be with him, it might be with somebody else, but I know it's going to be fucking amazing. Whoever it is, whenever it is, I know I've got this like fucking epic love story. Sorry, I'm really sweary today. I've got this waiting for me, and I trust that. And so although I can't say for sure, he's going to call me on this date and he's going to do that, he's going to show up in this way, and he's going to do these things I want him to do. I don't know. I can't say that. That's not for me to say. But I can say is that I can keep holding that it's all working out and it's going to at the right timeline with the right person. So it's always an up and down, isn't it? Like it's a mix of holding this both. The sadness of like the human stuff that I'm wanting right now isn't showing up exactly as I want it to, but I know that it's going to. I know that it's coming. I know that this all gets to happen and work out. So that's kind of where I'm at this week. I feel like that was perhaps slightly more vague, but yeah, that's where we're at with things. And then I guess the other small piece before I quit going to the questions, but it's all tied together, is that it's even with all of this and even with my busy season in full swing, so I, my accounting world is crazy for the next 8 weeks at, 10 weeks really. But even with all of that, it's finding the time for myself, for my pleasure, for my joy, for my fun, and continuing to prioritize myself, even while I've got this like big demanding job, and I've got, the girls to parent obviously, and I've got school holidays start next week. So there's lots going on, but finding time for myself in there. And actually, I did not intend this segue, but that is an excellent segue into the first question. So a question that I got asked this week for our coaching Q&A part is, what do I do for fun for myself when I am busy with work, with parenting, with doing my coaching stuff? Like how do I find time for fun, and what do I do? Like where's fun, Lindsey? And I love this question because I can so vividly remember not all that long ago, like a few years ago, when there was a long lead up. It was slow coming, but like I used to be a really fun person, and then I stopped being fun. And I didn't notice it at first, but over time I did. I could just feel, I was like, I don't feel fun anymore. Like, what happened to fun Lindsey? And that was even pre-kids. And then I had Nora, my first daughter, and oh my goodness, it just like fun dropped off my vocabulary. It was like I had to plan everything. I had to be on top of everything. It was like I just don't have fun anymore because life is like stressful and hard, and my brain is always going. Like if you haven't heard of the term mental load before, I think it's becoming more common. But mental load is like all the things that's constantly going on in your brain of like the planning, the checking, the doing, all the stuff that happens up here. And when you have a kid, that just like gets it's just another mountain full of mental load just drops on you. And when all that dropped on, fun just like went out the window for me. And I hated that. I really, really hated that. And I didn't know what to do about it. And I've mentioned this story before, but I vividly remember like sitting in my car, posting in a local mums Facebook group, asking like, how do you have more fun? How do I lighten up in my life? Like I am taking things way too seriously and I want to have more fun. And the answer was really like crap. So I'm hopefully going to give you a better answer. And the answer is that, like, you do get to have fun. Just because you're a mom, just because the mental load is crazy high, and because you're juggling all these things, fun can still happen. And so how do I guess the how do I have fun, what do I do for fun, is I find ways to bring it into my everyday life. And I decided that I got to have fun. Another quick story that is like really vivid in my memory was two years ago now. December 2020, it was lockdown and Glastonbury was canceled. I've never been to Glastonbury, but Glastonbury was canceled, so they were doing like a virtual Glastonbury. And I remember a friend of mine was having like her own private dance party in her house, and she sent me a picture, and she was like, she put on festival wear, she had like done her makeup, and she was having her own dance party in her living room. And I remember looking at this picture and being like, well, that looks really fun. I wish I could have fun like that. And then be like, what the hell, Lindsey? You literally can. You are also sat here at your house. The kids are asleep. It's lockdown. There's nowhere to go. Like, you're not doing anything right now that says that you can't have a Glastonbury dance party in your living room too. But it was this moment of like, I was jealous of her having fun and wishing I could do it. And there was absolutely no reason I couldn't. So I put sparkly eyeshadow on. I put my hair in a ponytail on top of my head, and I danced around my living room like a crazy lady. And I had such a great time. But it was just a mental thing for me. It was just deciding that like I get to have fun too. Now it's not always that simple, but the way I have done it is just. Actually, a lot of the time it is that simple. It's I decide I'm going to have fun with this. Like, the girls would be outside playing. We had the sprinkler out, and they were running through, and I was trying to tidy something up in the kitchen, and Nora was yelling for me, like, Mommy, come run through the sprinkler. And I was like, no, honey, I've got to finish this. And then I heard myself, and I was like, I don't have to finish this. I want to be the fun mom who runs in the sprinkler with my kids. So literally just go do it. So I did. So I put down whatever unimportant thing I was doing, and I went and I ran through the sprinkler and I crawled through it, and we got all wet and had a great time. But it's catching myself of when I'm withholding that fun, and it's catching myself going, wait, no, that sounds like fun. I'm doing it. And it's doing things simply because they are fun. So I might not have a reason for doing things. I might not, it doesn't make any sense at all. I'm like, but this looks like fun, so I'm going to do it. And for me, it's been a very conscious decision to start bringing more fun into my life. And in little ways and big ways. So it's the kitchen and living room dance parties, which I never used to do, and now I have a blast. Sometimes it's only one song, sometimes it's multiple songs, but I'll just like turn on, like dance like crazy. Or when I bring a lot of fun in when I'm playing with the girls. So I know the question was like, how do you have fun when you are busy with parenting and work? I bring so much fun in when I'm playing with the girls. And I never used to think that I could do that. And then actually this is where single parenting really helped me, because I did not want my co-parent, their dad, to be the fun parent and to me to be the responsible one. I wanted to be the fun parent too. So I decided I'm going to be the fun parent. And so when I'm with them, we do so many fun things, and I channel my, like, what's the funnest thing? That's not to say I do all the fun things and let them get away with whatever they want. Please don't think that like fun parent means not parenting. But like, there's a park by our house that has some steps going up, and Nora wanted to jump up every step. And so I jumped up every step with her. Was I exhausted? Yes. Am I very out of shape? Apparently so. But it's stuff like that where, like, when she suggests something, I love to say yes to it. I'm like, okay, great. Let's do that funny thing. I don't care if anybody sees me and we look ridiculous. I don't care if I'm out of breath by the top, but it's like, okay, you want to do something, I am in it with you. And for me, I can really let my kids lead the way and bring a lot of fun into my life for me. They have been the best fun teachers I ever could have asked for. But when I'm not with them, then I take that same energy and I apply it too. So I walk through the park a lot more these days. You may have noticed in my stories, I spend a lot more time in the park. But I will sometimes like stop and go for a swing on the park. I'm all by myself, my kids are not there, and I'll like have a little swing because I wanted to. Or I will jump up on the balance beam and like, where you walk and like you dip one leg down and dip the other leg down. Like I'll just walk across the balance beam doing a little dip all by myself. I've just started, like, if I get this little urge of like, that looks like fun, do it. Just do it. That's all that it is. So yeah, I wouldn't say like I have this one big activity that I do for fun. I just have been finding all these little ways to bring more fun into my day. And like I said, for me, the kids have been the best teachers for that. So that was question number 1. Ooh, I talk a lot, don't I? So question number 2 was another really good one this week. Question number 2 was, do I believe in the rules? The rules of like dating, like don't text for so long. Let him text you first. Don't kiss on the first date. Don't sleep together on the first date. Like, don't sleep together until so many dates. Like whatever it is, like, I think we all know the problem is we probably don't know what the rules are, but I think we all have this sense of like, there are rules that you are supposed to follow. I'm sure Cosmo would tell me what all these rules are, or any other number of magazines. But so the question was, do I believe in these? And the answer was, hell no. No, I do not. And if you saw my post, was it last week? I don't know. I did a post that said like, love hard, go all in. And I said, I don't play it cool. I don't know how, and I refuse to learn. I play it Lindsey. And that is just so true. I have no interest in some made up make believe rule book that somebody else has said I should be following, and that like this is the best way for all this to go. And don't get me wrong, it's not that I haven't been socialized to believe that. I have. And I've been socialized that like you're supposed to date in a certain way and it's supposed to kind of look like this. Like not super formulaic, but that like, there's general, a pattern that gets followed or how it should go. And what I have been learning in all of this time and all this work and when I've started dating is that baloney, just absolutely baloney. I am following, and I have been following this principle for a while now, of I go with what feels good, what feels right, what feels exciting for me. And I'm going to keep following that. And that is in dating and in the rest of life. But that is what I'm going with. And so, no, I'm not buying the, like, you should or shouldn't do this. And in fact, so in my dating experiences, I've had several. I had been doing it like, we would chat on the app and then we would arrange a first date and we would go for like dinner and drinks and have a nice time. And I did several of those, like what I thought dating would look like. And that was totally fine and cool and good. And then with this mystery man that I keep talking about, it didn't look anything like that, like nothing at all. He talks about it like we've done it kind of back to front. We haven't done it, kind of the way you were supposed to. And he uses that as well. Because we have done it our own way. So to be totally, do I want to share this? No, I don't want to share that part, to be honest. But so our first date was set up in an unconventional way. And I had told him this probably isn't going to happen, and then it did happen that way because it felt good and right. So although like my head said, you shouldn't do it that way, like that's not the done thing, my body and my insides went, but why not? This feels really good, so we're going to do it that way. So we did, and it felt really good. And then the second, so I met him on day one in this unconventional way, and it felt really good. The next day, we were talking in the morning on voice notes, decided to meet for lunch. We went for lunch that day. He called me right after lunch because he just wanted to talk to me some more. He called me that evening because he was, popping out to go get something. I just wanted to say hi. I then saw him that same night. Like it all was just like, no, like with all of my other days, it was like, yeah, we had a first date, and then it was would you like to see each other again for a second date? Yes, I would. Okay, let's arrange a second date next week at this date and place. Whereas with this one, it was like, I want to see you now. Okay, how can I see you now? Can I see you tonight? No, actually, it turns out you can. And we just went with it. And honestly, we never went on a proper date as such. We didn't do any in the time that we had together. We didn't do any like actual official dates, like what I would consider a date that would look like with somebody else. But we spent all of this time together in a way that felt really good and exciting. We followed a timeline that I wouldn't have, like I haven't done with anybody else, in terms of like physical intimacy. And that's okay. Like, and it was like, okay, well, this is all, new and crazy for both of us. But there's no rules around it. Like, it's not like, and I will say that there was, I put out in I've got a women's support group that I'm in. It's a Facebook group of like-minded women in a lot of ways. And I did reach out to them for support at one point and be like, can you all please just reassure me that there is no rule book? And so I already knew that, and that was what I wanted to believe in and what I felt. But sometimes we need this reassurance. So I put out there, can you reassure me that there is no rule book, that the timeline of our physical intimacy doesn't, there is no right or wrong answer here, that if it could be okay to do it this way or that way or the other way. And I mean, I just got such an outpouring of love and reassurance back from so many amazing women being like, no, you do you, you follow what feels good. You know, here's my stories of when I did it this way and it worked. Here's my stories of when I did it this totally other way and that worked. Like, it can all either work or not work, but it's got nothing to do with the timeline or the rules or like not following the set rules. It's just about how it's working between you and this other person. So it really helped me reinforce in my brain that like there is no goddamn rule book, that nobody else has to tell me how this works. We just need to go with what feels good and right and exciting for us, always. And when I say we need to do this for us, I mean me and you, the women who I'm talking to right now, but I also mean like within a relationship of any sort, the two people within that relationship. So I can't just do what feels amazing for me if it feels really icky and awful for this other human that I'm interacting with. Like, that's not going to work. But I am the one who's in charge of like following my feel good, and they are responsible for following their feel good. And if our feel goods align, then boom, magic happens. And if your feel goods don't align, like right now they didn't quite because of what I talked about last week, then so be it. So you need both pieces to line up, but yeah, it's nothing to do with any stupid rule books or waiting so long to text or anything like that. And on that note, because I am like clock watching now and being like, don't text him. And if we make it through today, that'll be an entire week of no texting, which is like feels like a big achievement and accomplishment for me to be like, we haven't communicated in a whole week, go us. But that's not because anybody else says I shouldn't be texting. It's not because the rules say don't text after you break up. It's not because anything like that. It's because it's what's best for him and I. Like, we've agreed that we need to give each other space and we need to do this thing. And I know full well, again, that like if we force it now, it's not going to be, on a solid foundation. So I'm not texting because I know it's what's best for us. And it's like I was saying to somebody recently, it feels like it's a short-term pain for long-term gain. And again, whether it's with him or somebody else, I don't know. But I'm not texting because of what's between us, not because of like what society says you're supposed to do in a breakup situation. So I have this sneaky feeling that when you asked that question, you knew my answer was going to be no, but I love that you asked it anyway, because it was really fun to talk about. And I hope that whatever, and that throwing out of the rules, although this was in a dating context, that's pretty much how I feel about life in general, by the way. Fuck the rule book. There is no rule book. Yes, in a professional setting, like in a career, there are sometimes, there's cultural expectations that you at least should be aware of. And I'm from a very corporate background, and I have some pretty ingrained like beliefs in how corporate worlds work and stuff like that. And if I was mentoring somebody, there's things where I'm like, this is what people expect. But even then, like, you can throw out the rule book. I just think it's helpful to be aware of what other people are expecting so that you're then not surprised if things go differently, etc. But like in life in general, no, if you don't want to follow a rule book, don't follow one. Just you do you. I know that is so overused, but I genuinely mean it. The very, very best thing that you can do for the world is to be the most you that you can possibly be. The very best thing I can do for the world is be the meest me I can be in all settings of life. And that is where all the magic comes from. So that's what I wanted to cover today. I think the final thing that I'm going to wrap up with is just to say that, so my coaching, the ways to work with me right now are shifting ever so slightly. So with my busy season at work right now, my energetic capacity is shrinking down a little bit. Quite a lot of it, to be honest. So a lot of my energy goes to my work, and then the rest of my energy goes to my kids and to me, and making sure that I am still taken care of and supported and full of pleasure and love and joy and all of that good stuff, which reduces my client capacity a bit. So I have my one-on-one client right now who I absolutely adore, and she's getting a good chunk of my energy as well. And we're going to I love that we've got our call later today, and I can't wait. But beyond that, instead of offering the 3-month coaching package like I have been promoting, that is going on a wait list starting in October. So, but the good news about that is that we can do an extended payment plan. So you can spread out the payments over that time period, which makes them smaller and more manageable. So I'm going to be, and I'll do a post about this later, but I am going to be starting a wait list for the 3-month package. I am still offering the smaller 3-session package because that doesn't come with any in-between support. So if you've heard me talking about Voxer support, the messaging app, this mini package is only the 3 sessions. So you'll get me on an hour's call 3 times, and I absolutely am excited to still offer that because I love, love, love showing up on these client calls and getting to connect with you and getting to work through your stuff. And you can do so much in even that space of time. So that is still available. But it's the longer 3-month commitment with the Voxer support in between. That's what's going on a wait list starting in October. So if you want to get in on the mini 3 package, let me know. And there might be an even smaller option coming very soon. I'm not going to announce it just yet because I'm still working out the details, but keep your eyes open that there might be even a smaller option down below the 3-session package. So if you're interested, keep your eye out. And of course, send me a message if you're like, I want to work with you and I'm not quite sure right now, like, how that could look or what you're offering. Send me a message and we can absolutely chat about it and find something that works for both of us. So that's where I'm at. I hope that you all have a lovely, lovely day, and I'm going to go find some shade because even this is getting quite warm now. So I'll see you later. Love you. Bye.